You've made it past the halfway mark. Welcome to Chapter 2, Part 4, Total Yield Conversion. Total yield conversion is one way of scaling recipes. We're going to look at two, but first we'll look at this one. Scaling a recipe means increasing the quantity made or decreasing the quantity made. There are two different versions of doing this. Total yield conversion is probably the more commonly used. The other version, baker's percentage, is the one more commonly used by bakers. So we will learn and work with both methods. This is the first problem in your assignment, and we're going to follow these 3 steps. Step number 1, and this will be step number 1 in almost every math problem we do, is to convert all of the amounts to a common unit, usually ounces for us. You want the lowest common unit, and ounces works almost every time. So if you look at your recipe, you can see the first ingredient says 12 ounces. Write 12 ounces in the total column. Next ingredient is 1 pound 2 ounce. 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces plus 2 makes a total of 18 ounces. The next ingredient is 2 pounds 2 ounces. 2 times 16 is 32 plus 2 equals 34 ounces. And then the remaining 3 ingredients, you can just transfer their ounces over because none of them are over 1 pound. Once you have filled in the ounces, add them up and write your total in beneath them. Let's learn an accounting term. The term is cross-footing. Cross-footing is when you have numbers that go down a column and then the totals go across the bottom in a row. To double check, you always want to check your numbers twice, and a good way of doing this is cross-footing. Add the column, get the total. Add the row, get the total. Those totals should be identical. If they are, you've now added them twice, and you can be pretty confident that the numbers are good. On the previous page, we added the column, so let's look at the row. The row says that the total is 5 pounds 14 ounces. 5 times 16 is 80. So now we're at 80 plus 14 ounces, or 94 ounces. We're ready to move on to the next step. Let's read the problem here now. Convert the brownie recipe to yield 12 pounds 6 ounces of brownie batter using the total yield method. So now we know that our required quantity is 12 pounds 6 ounces. Our table here kind of told us that already because it plugged in the totals at the bottom. If you look in the green circle, you'll see 12 pounds 6 ounces. Just like all the other numbers, we want that in the lowest common unit, so we're going to change that to ounces by multiplying 12 times 16 and adding 6 to get that total. Now that we know the required quantity and the original quantity, we can start step 2. The formula is required quantity, RQ, divided by original quantity, OQ, to equal the conversion factor, CF. When we divide our required quantity of 198 ounces by the original quantity of 94 ounces, it equals 2.106. We're going to round that to 2.11. Write that in the CF column in the center. It's the grayed out column. I have it highlighted in yellow. With this information, okay, ignore that. I don't want to delete this whole page. The phone rang, so we're just going to pretend like it didn't, and we're moving seamlessly along. Okay, we have our CF of 2.11 in that column, and we're ready to do step 3. Step 3 says to multiply the original quantity times the CF to get our required quantity. So look in that first row, our original quantity is 12. Our CF is 2.11. If you multiply them together, you're going to get, I don't have it with me in front of me, but around 25. We're going to round it to the whole, oh, there it is right there. I wrote it down. Ignore me. 12 times 2.11 is 25.32. We're going to round that to the whole number, or 25 ounces. Continue to do that with each row. So 18 times 2.11 equals 38. 34 times 2.11 equals 72. 10 times 2.11 equals 21, and 12 times 2.11 equals 25. 8 times 2.11 equals 17. We're going to do that cross-footing thing again. We already know that 12 pounds 6 ounces equals 198 ounces. Add up your column, and it should also equal 198 ounces. Here's a copy of the finished worksheet without all my scribbles on it. Go ahead and copy these answers into your first one. Better yet, work through to see if you get the same answers I did, and you'll be in better shape for the remaining problems. We're going to look at this same recipe, total yield conversion, but we're going to use grams instead of pounds and ounces. So we don't have to convert to a common unit, it's already in grams. To get our CF, we know that we divided the required quantity by the original quantity. If you look, I've highlighted the required quantity in red. And below that, I've started the formula, and I wrote that in red as well. So 5613 is our required quantity in grams. Our original quantity, highlighted in green and then written in green, is 2,665. Divide 5,613 by 2,665, and it equals 2.11. That number should look familiar. The third step, multiply the original quantity times the CF to get your required quantity. So I highlighted it in yellow. The original quantity of bitter chocolate is 340 grams times the 2.11 CF equals 717 grams. Continue that with each row until you get to the bottom. Now this time when we cross-footed, the column totals 5,622. The row was 5,613. They are not identical. This will happen sometimes because of rounding. The difference should be negligible. If there's a big difference, a mistake was made. The difference here is 9 grams, which is equal to 0.3 ounces, so 1/3 of 1 ounce. If you're looking at over 12 pounds of batter, 1/3 of an ounce is nothing for it to be off by. So it is fine. But you see how much faster it is just to work with the grams. Continue all of the problems in this assignment and meet me back here for step 5.